We get to build this house. By the early 1920s, when the murders and deportations finally ended, approximately 1.5 million Armenians were dead. This is now known as the Armenian Genocide of 1915. To fully recognize the enormity of these events, many facts must be understood. The suspicions that caused the conflict in the Ottoman Empire, the rise of the Young Turks, and the driving forces that massacred and deported the Armenians. The Ottoman Empire absorbed the Armenian region during the 15th century, and the Ottoman leaders, unlike the Armenian people, were Muslim. This is the Ottoman Empire, historically known in Western Europe as Turkey. Adelaide says, the Ottoman state was governed according to Islamic law, which forced non-Muslim Americans to second-class status by denying them basic civil rights and requiring them to pay more taxes. Life in the Ottoman Empire for Armenians was difficult and unpredictable, as they were often mistreated under harsh treatment. Religious differences fueled their tensions during the Italo-Turkish War. Sunni writes, antipathy towards Christians increased when the Ottoman Empire suffered a humiliating defeat in the First Balkan War, resulting in the loss of nearly all its remaining territory in Europe. As conflicts increase, a new government comes to power in Turkey. Stone, longtime historian, writes, Abdul Hamid, the leader of the Ottoman Empire, was eventually overthrown in 1909 by army officers and their Masonic followers known as the Young Turks. Here's a photo of the Young Turks in 1908. They were the ones that took over the Ottoman Empire and gained control. The Armenians hoped their quality of life would better off with this new power, but unfortunately, it just got worse. The Young Turks enter World War I recently after they took power. Kifner writes, Armenians in the area were blamed for siding with the Russians. The Young Turks began a campaign to portray the Armenians as a kind of fifth column, a threat to the state. So with the Christian Armenians' loyalty in question, the genocide begins in 1915. Spencer writes, the Young Turk government rounded up intellectuals and political leaders from its Christian Armenian minority, arrested them, and they were later executed. It then went a step further, ordering the community's expulsion from Anatolia to Syria. Here's a photo of the Armenian Christians being deported, now known as the Death March. More photo across the countryside. Many Armenians didn't make it through the march. They died of dehydration and exhaustion. Kifner writes, there were executions into mass graves, the death marches of men, women, and children across the Syrian desert to concentration camps, with many of them dying along the way of exhaustion and exposure and starvation. The Young Turk leaders, when the killings were finally over, the Young Turk leaders fled to Germany, where they were promised not to be prosecuted. Here's a photo of a mass grave in 1915. The Armenians being buried. In 1922, when the genocide was finally over, approximately 388,000 Armenians were left in the Ottoman Empire. Despite pressure from Armenians and activists around the world, Turkey still refuses to acknowledge the genocide, claiming that there were no premeditation on the deaths of the Armenians. Thank you.